for some time. Congressman Steny Hoyer is the House Minority Whip. And Congressman, I have to ask, you got the bill that the president asked for 3 months ago. Now, I know it was under theatrical circumstances, but if this is what you wanted, why not have whipped it and said, you know what, fine, this is the thing we said we should do, and we're going to stick by our guns. We're going to stick to our guns on this issue.
Well, everybody realized it was a political gotcha game, and in fact, it wasn't clean. In fact, what it did was, its premise was that we have this debt because of President Obama's policies. That's simply not true, and the world knows it's not true, and the Republicans know it's not true. We went from a $5.6 trillion surplus that George Bush inherited to over $10 trillion, $11+ trillion debt when George Bush left office. So to say that this is Obama's debt and the debt limit needs to be extended because of Obama is simply not true. So from a factual standpoint, it wasn't a clean debt limit extension. But everybody knows, every Republican leader knows, every Democratic leader knows, in both the House and the Senate, and most of America knows that the debt limit needs to be extended to pay the bills we've already incurred.
Right.
And it was, to that extent, it was political theater. It was interesting on the front page of the Washington Post today. There was not a mention of that vote. So that yesterday was, frankly, a waste of America's time, a waste of the Congress's time, but it perhaps gives some political cover to Republicans who say they're not going to vote to extend the debt limit, notwithstanding the fact that John Boehner says it's the adult thing to do, and others have said it would be catastrophic if we didn't. The other thing, of course, Chuck, we're doing
what's
today.
The deal? I was just going to ask, though, let me ask you this. What is a deal going to look like? We know there's going to be a deal. Everybody agrees there's going to be a deal. Knowing this town, it's probably going to take to July 31st or August 1st because procrastination is, I think the word was invented here in Washington, D.C. That said, is the deal, do you expect the deal to be totally done, or one of these, we've agreed there's going to be triggers, but we'll decide what the split is on spending cuts to tax increases after the 2012 elections?
Chuck, I think it could be a combination of both process and substance as we go forward. The Biden group is meeting, as you know. Vice President Biden's leading a group. The reports we get back, although they're keeping everything in-house because, as everybody's agreed, nothing's done until everything's done. But I expect, unfortunately, that it will take longer than I think it ought to. As you know, I was urging that we address this issue and get it done. I would have been for a clean debt limit extension that the parties agreed needed to go forward. Mr. Boehner and the leader on our side could have agreed that this was something that we were both going to do while we worked on the substance of what we all need to do, and that is bring this debt down, reduce the deficit. It's not sustainable. Now, I've said everything needs to be on the table. I believe that, and we need to seriously deal with this. Unfortunately, today, for instance, we are going to be voting on the Republican budget one more time in the rule that considers the Homeland Security appropriation bill. We're going to readopt the Ryan budget, which cuts deeply Medicare, and which has been rejected. And we've just had one of the clearest polls politicians can get on election in New York 26, which said, we don't like that policy. We don't want to pursue that kind of policy. And unfortunately, we're not looking at things on which we can agree. We're looking on making political points, which is what happened yesterday, and I think what is happening today.
I want to talk a little bit about Libya. I know that NATO extended for another 90 days their intent on continuing the military campaign there. The president has not asked for congressional approval of his plan, but he would welcome it. At some point, shouldn't Congress exert itself here and have a say and say, you know what, the president doesn't act unilaterally here. This is a co-equal branch of the American government.
Well, not only is it a co-equal branch, but it is the Congress that has the power to make war or to stop war, frankly. And so the answer to that question is yes, we ought to participate. As you know, Senator McCain and Senator Kerry have introduced legislation, a resolution on the Senate side.
It's not binding.
No, it's not binding. That's for sure. On our side, Mr. Kucinich has introduced a resolution, and there is discussion in the committees about taking some action as well. Unfortunately, however, I think to be in the position now of withdrawing, as is suggested, within 15 days, I think would substantially undermine the NATO alliance and undermine the effort to remove Gaddafi and to stop the killing there and to let the Libyan people move forward in a democratic, open fashion.
All right. Congressman Steny Hoyer, Democrat from Maryland, number 2 on the House Democratic side. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right, trivia time. We asked, what slogan did current Congressman Anthony Weiner use when he ran for student government during college? The answer, vote for Weiner.